Alright, for this portion we're going to be using Maya and ZBrush. I like to use Maya a little bit more for the stage just because it's easier to place things. And also with our Arnold eye kit, we can kind of, from flip normals, we can kind of just move them around together more easily in here with groups and stuff. So let's go ahead and go back to ZBrush for a second. Alright, we're going to go down to level 1. And let's go ahead and export this out as our Dustin base. Let's go back to Maya. So let's go into our import. We can come here to OBJ and we can do Dustin base. Go ahead and smooth these normals. And then we can delete that. We'll go ahead and create a group. And we can call this body geo. And then we can call this group. For most stuff in most of the places I've worked, this tends to be kind of the naming conventions that we have. There are certain places that have been different, like I've had the group before the name, I've had the geo before the name as well. Sometimes we use descriptor, like at places we'll do body, and then it will be body again. And what that's referring to is we will have that name in the actual, let's go ahead and just do that for now. So we can do body, and then geo. And what this particular body one will be the shader name that we apply. And let's go ahead and apply our Arnold shader, because that's what we'll be working with. So we can come here, we can right click, and then we can come down to assign new material. And let's go to, that's weird, Arnold does not seem to be, so let's go ahead and load Arnold. Go ahead and save our preferences, and then let's go back to this again, and we can say assign new material, we go Arnold, and we can do AI standard surface. And then what I was saying there is this will end up becoming our name, right? So body, and we can name that MTL. And usually what happens here too is we go to the actual SG, which is the surface node, and then we'll name this body as well. And then SG. And then that's relating to this. And how that works usually in pipelines is that, like, at least a couple that I've worked on, is they'll have that material thing there so that, like, when this gets moved to, say, Houdini or something else, where a lot of look dev is happening now, they can write HDAs, which will basically pick that name up and automatically assign the same material to that object. So if you had like eyes, you would have eyes, and then eyes, geo, or like anything that had glass on it, you would have like, you know, like your door glass, but then the material aspect of it would be called glass. Naming conventions are super important. Be sure to name all your stuff all the time. Be in the habit of doing it while you're working. The names can change while you're working, but just be sure to do that. It's a really, really good way to work. So we have the material applied, and right now we're just going to go and we are going to import in our eye from Flip Normals. And in our elements, we have eye VFX, we have scene files. Oops. And then you can change this to all. You can see iKit. And that's going to bring in everything they had from the iKit. So Dustin kind of has, let's go to our scan. It's kind of got like bluish hazel eyes. I mean, kind of grayish blue. So let's go back to this, and then let's go to our eyes, and we don't need the blend shapes for our thing, but that could be nice later on. We are going to pick, let's get rid of green, let's get rid of dark brown, let's do, it's kind of the grayer eye. Let's do this, and then let's open our hyper shade. And let's go ahead and let's go ahead and see, what is this? Neutral dilation. Yes, we have it dilated or not dilated. Let's go ahead and delete unused. That'll delete everything that's not attached to something that's in the scene now. And now we have our blue iris. So Arnold pupil. Yep. All right. So now that all that's applied already to this that we brought in. And what we're going to do is, now you can see that's kind of, we're going to take this group. Let's go ahead and ungroup this from that. Oops. Shift P will ungroup that if you're selecting group. We're going to go ahead and put the gray eye. So Shift P, and then this. Go ahead and set G to, or H to, H will hide and unhide. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and move this group up to where our eyes will be. Eventually we're going to bring this into ZBrush and then move it even further, and then kind of do some refixing of this cavity and some other things. But like for right now, we're just trying to get this eye into place. And more or less, since we're working at real world scale, when we bring in our eye from Flip Normal's thing, it's going to be the correct size for us of like what an eye would be. So all we really have to do is kind of get it roughly in place, and then we'll further do this when we get back into. So bring this up a little bit, and we can compare it to our scan inside of ZBrush. So it's pretty rough. Let's go ahead and make sure that and what we're going to do is we're going to add, so I have this is called comment renamer. It's another thing you guys should all have if you don't have it. There are other renamers that work great too, but like for this one, it's kind of industry standard. And what I'm going to do is, this is the right eye, so I'm going to look for @geo, right? But then what we're going to do is we're going to do @r/geo. So now it's going to take those and add an R. And then we're going to do the same thing for these. But like here, let's do the namespace thing too. Let's brought in the namespaces, so we're going to get rid of the namespaces. And come here, delete, merge with root. And now those just have the regular name. And then we can do the same thing here, but do L And now let's go ahead and do gray L group. And then gray R group. And it kind of sucks that it's not going to keep this grouping when it goes back to ZBrush, but like, it's fine. We'll recreate that so that when we export FBX, it'll actually come in here and replace in the same spot. So those are our eyes, and for this, we're going to actually export FBX. So FBX, and we are going to do eyes flip and save, export, and then we're going to go back to ZBrush and get back on our main dude. We can go ahead and delete this guy now because we have the position we want. And then we are going to import in those eyes we just did. So FBX should bring up a menu. I don't need any of this other stuff. Import, and what it's going to do, it's going to bring it into another subtool. But we are going to take this and we are going to group all of it. So name, eyes, GRP. I'm going to shove everything in there. And then we can come back up here to Subtool Master, Copy Folder, Paste Folder. And that's going to paste it into our other subtool. And now, if we turn off solo, we have our eyes there. And now, what we are going to do is try to match these to our actual scan. So, what we want to do is we want to come to our work guy, I guess, and then we can copy our body reference, right? Duplicate. And we will bring this guy out. And I'm just gonna, take his head. I'm going to delete all the other stuff. And then I'm going to move this back into place. Kind of where the other one was. Where our new positioning is. So, that's pretty on point. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn and come back here to this guy. And alt click, you can alt and click on whatever body part. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and polygroup this stuff again. Auto group UV, merge with similar groups. And we're going to make our quick polygroups again real quick for the head. Well, let's just do the eyes for now. So we can come select lasso again. Let's go ahead and come to stroke. or transforms, and we can do delete posable symmetry, use posable symmetry, and then that should give us our symmetry back again. Kind of doesn't work in some places, but for the most part, it works. One thing you can do is you can do Control Shift S again, and then we're going to shrink that. Basically until we get rid of, where the clunkule will be. And then we're going to make that another polygon. And then for now, that'll kind of be our thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to hide all the rest of this. Just so that we have the eye area. And let's go ahead and bring this up to level 6. Turn the wireframe off. And then what we're going to do is we're going to also break these out into separate eyes. So let's go here to thing. Let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger just so we can see more. I'm going to go ahead and pop this out, pop this out, pop this out, pop this out. And then we are going to rename this right eyes group. And then we can do new folder, left eyes. And then we can turn off one side, and what we're going to do is we're going to turn on body reference again. And you can see that our eye is not really where we want it to be. Even though, let's go back to our, let's see, this should be on. It's not to transpose ghost. Oh yeah, we moved him back too, didn't we? So let's go ahead and do transpose. So we also need to go back to here, line it up in the front, but we need to get it moved back. Let's go ahead and Alt on him, move, and let's go ahead and move this back so that we're in the same spot. Let's go ahead and rotate this into place. That's pretty good. Let's Z back on this just so we can get just his eyes in there. And then what we're going to do is we can come here to the eye, turn off the right one, and let's go ahead and we're actually pretty close to where we want, honestly. Can come here. One thing that I'll sometimes do too is I'll bring the actual scan into Maya, because what's great about it is I can put everything in a group and I can turn the visibility off on everything except for the iris, and then I can just match the iris up and then turn those back on, and then everything else should be in place. That might be the easier way to do it, but since we're in here now, let's just do it this way, and we'll move the eye around. So transpose set, and you know what? I am going to do it that way. It's just easier. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take the head. We are going to Dynamesh it one more time. Let's see, Dynamesh. Not Dynamesh. Decimation. Using Key Poly Paint, and then we are going to pre-process. Yes. Take a minute. All right, back. So now we're going to export this out. And we'll call this body decimated Maya reference. This is going to make it a lot easier to move the eyes and get them in the right place without having to like kind of guess, you know, where the iris is and all the other stuff. And it'll just make it a little bit more accurate. So it's going to take a second for that to export. And then let's go back to Maya. Let's go ahead and import that in. So our OBJs, and let's see, what did we call it again? We called it FBX that? Oh, there it is. Take a second to import. And then we can come here. Let's go ahead and turn our body off. Looks like we moved our guy a little bit. So let's go ahead and get this. Modify center pivot. A little bit over. That's good. First transformations, and now what we're going to do is we're going to hide his body, and then we're going to take each one of these, and what we're going to do is we're going to turn on, we're going to hide the pupil and the sclera, and then we're just going to move this whole group by the iris. So we can see that that's pretty much where we want him to be on that eye. And what you can then see is like when we bring these back on, is it's moved that entire group. So now we have that entire group in the place that we want it to be. Even though, let's move this forward a little bit more. You can see, there we go. You know, we want that to be lined up, but we also want the you know, edge of the eyelid and that to match up as well. So let's go over here and do this for the right eye also. We'll go ahead and hide those. And let's go back up to the group. And then looks like we're in a pretty good spot. It does look like our eyes are a little bit turned out, which we probably want to do anyways, not to have them straight. Most eyes, it's like I think it's about like -7 degrees. If you just makes, because if they're straight on, it makes them look cross-eyed for some reason. I know that's not like a super technical way of saying that, but like if you want super technical, you can go to Chris Costa's tutorials, and you can kind of hear him speak about why that is. I'm just doing their information I've been given over the years of doing different tutorials and stuff myself, but like kind of in the way that I know how to do. And you know, that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and turn these back on. So G, and we can see that we're pretty much there. Oops. H, and go back here, and we can move this a little bit forward, and that looks pretty spot on. And he looks like he's, you know, got like, let's go ahead and turn this off, and turn our body back on. And we can see we've got some overlapping happening. What we're going to do is we're going to move some of this around when we go back to ZBrush. And we're going to fix those eye areas. So we are going to do this again. First of all, I'm going to drag this into our eye group. And then I'm going to go ahead and freeze the transformations on these. Modify, freeze transformation. That's our new and final position of our eyes. And then we are going to go ahead and export these eyes again. We'll just export over the same one again. Go ahead and open ZBrush back up. Let's go ahead and put this in work since we are kind of done with it. Come back here, and we are going to delete both of these because they were wrong and we didn't want to use them. So delete all and delete all. Now let's go ahead and import those eyes again. And again, that's going to import it into a new subtool. And we are going to make a folder, chuck all these in it, go to our subtool master, copy folder, and come back here, and we are going to paste that folder. And what we are going to do now is we are going to go ahead and duplicate the sclera twice. So we're going to duplicate the left one, bring it out, and we're going to duplicate the right one and bring it out. Go ahead and hide these for now. And then I'm going to go ahead and merge down. I guess I could do this one by one. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to take this and go to display properties, and we're going to actually flip this. And we're going to do the same for this side too. And what that's doing is that's putting the normals on the inside. And what it's going to do is it's going to allow us to project the inside of the eye to the inside of the eye here. So what we're going to do is we're going to alt click back on our geometry. We're going to come back down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide this pink part. And then we're going to go turn off color, turn on geometry, and then do project all. And then, I guess we could crank this size up. Not that big. And then bring that up in size. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of mask off this area because we don't want that to be affected. We do want the other areas to be affected, so project all. And that's pretty good. So what that's doing is it's just giving our our cavity so that it doesn't intersect with the eye. And I probably would have given this a lot more geometry in there to accomplish that, but for now it's fine. You can kind of see when we go back down to 1, it's still kind of enveloping the eye. And then when we come back to here, we come in here and we can kind of clean up these areas that have not been fixed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be smooth. I'm going to do our smooth alt and just make that our master smooth. And you can see that it's just trying to basically smooth that to kind of a better place. Or average the smooth, basically, instead of a better place. I don't know what the hell I'm saying. But then that's basically placing our eyes in correctly. And let's take a look at this. Turn both of these off, and then we can kind of turn our eyes on. I'll go ahead and turn off ghost. And that's where we want our eyes. We can turn off the scleras just to show you where the iris is. And that looks pretty good. And that's kind of creepy. It does look like we're getting a little bit of intersection between these two still. Let's try to fix that. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and use the move tool. X, just on this side. And if you really want to be accurate about this and not have it push in the normals in any other directions, you can come here to transform. And what I would do is I would come here to modifiers and then just turn off X, and then we could just do, I think Y, let's see. I think Z would be our direction. Yeah. And then that's just pulling that stuff in the Z direction and not up or down. So that was pretty drastic right there. So let's give it to level 3. And then I'm going to turn off RGB. Let's go ahead and smooth that out. And let's check this other side. The other side looks good. That's our eye placement. So I'm going to go ahead and delete these two just because they were for that snapping. Actually, let's go ahead and let's rename these. And let's go ahead and move those up into our work also. I know it seems crazy that I keep all these extra things, but like, you never know how many times in production you're gonna have to go back and do some of these things. Like maybe my art director doesn't like how, or my modeling supervisor doesn't like how I line the eye up, and they want me to move it just minuscule points. I just had a job where I did that a bunch. We just couldn't really agree on like exactly where the eye was. And I moved it maybe 30 or 40 times before we finally decided on the final location of like where the eye should be. So having these things in place to actually use later on is really helpful. So again, we're going to do the thing where we took these out, right? We can rename this right eye. And then let's go ahead and give this a group 2. And go ahead and put everything in there. That is it for moving the eyes. Next up, we're going to place the wet lines. And that can be a little bit of a process. And we're going to move the teeth, gums, and the tongue and everything into place where it needs to go to. Alright, so that's the end of this lesson.